Hey family, my name's Keegan, and this will be episode 2 of Just a Conversation. And I just kind of wanted to continue the conversation, if you will, uh, from episode 1. Episode 1 kind of touching a little bit briefly about who I am, some of the things that I've been experiencing, and what I'm here to do and to share. And like this podcast honestly is a way for me to get out of my comfort zone in a way, especially doing this episode where you can see my face and see me and see what I look like. This is new for me, but this is something that my spirit, that my heart has been telling me I need to do. I need to come forward and just share my experiences, really, because our experiences are where we learn and cultivate, and we come to grow with each other and learn from each other. I feel that wisdom is the ability to learn from other people's experiences and incorporate that and integrate that into your being, so that you don't necessarily have to go to the lengths, in certain instances at least, that some people have gone through. And what I mean is, well, for me, I have 7 years free from active addiction, and anybody can kind of take that and put it into their own way. But for me, what that means is it's been over 7 years since I've had to wake up or come to, really, from a state of who knows where I am, what's going on, what I'm doing, because I'm in a full-fledged addiction. You see, my life, a good portion of my life was spent finding the ways and means to remove myself from this reality through intravenous substances like heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine. I also intravenously used, alcohol and ketamine, and pretty much anything that was water soluble. I put it in my veins, family, and bless the man that went through that boy that went through those experiences. I am still that being, but I have integrated these facets of myself that kept me in these cycles of suffering. And you see, I have a crooked eye here, fam, from intravenously administering coke, heroin, and ketamine at the same time. And it was years later that the doctor told me that I had a stroke from that experience. You see, when I came to, I thought it was a great time. Oh, sick and twisted, right? I laugh because I can still relate to that drive, that energetic, what was perceived at the time to be insanity. But years later, now 7 years free from living in that lifestyle. And that doesn't mean, full disclosure today, family, I use cannabis and other plant medicines, and I sit in certain sacred ceremonies, when I'm called to learn from these teachers, to commune, to have these conversations, if you will, with these facets of me. And for those of you that know what I mean by that is along these 33 years of my living, being here, almost 33 years, family. I'm going into my 33rd year now. And I could feel this energy inside of me as I am aligning myself in such a way that just feels more harmonious, really, for me. And this is a potent time of my life. I can feel it, but it's already potent for everybody. We're going through such major shifts in cognition, in realization, in integration, as we integrate it into our being. But those years of being in active addiction, I ran around the streets of Santa Ana and Orange County and Tustin, and you know, I thought I was something that I wasn't at the time as well. And I've come to realize that I'm really not a violent or angry person. This is a character that I have fallen into from time to time. And in fact, I've even embellished that character because that character is afraid of confrontation as well, really, truly. It's not until here I am years later where I practice a martial way of living where I just understand even further why these are really made for healing, right? But I was still live today under this idea of a demon hand and a Buddha heart, right? We must be prepared, family. We must be aware of what's happening around us. You see, there's so much more than we're receiving for most of us, really. And what I mean by that, how does this tie in? What am I talking about? I'm talking about being a sensitive or being an empath, right? And this is why I was led down the path of drugs and alcohol, because I was so sensitive that I didn't realize that I was receiving information all around me, not just my own, and I didn't know how to discern what was mine and what's theirs either. So for me, I feel like I felt everything that's around and happening. And I took it on, and I made agreements within my being. You see, I made agreements within my being that I was these things that I was feeling for a moment. And then those programmed me or constructed me into living in these fear constructs and fear matrices, where I developed what we call severe mental health disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar, what's the classic one that we all have? ADHD. What? No, but in all seriousness, this is energetic imbalances, family. You see, we are made up of an energetic system. We have energy pathways or chi pathways that run throughout the body, similar to our circulatory system, similar to our vasculatory system. You see, these are literal prana pathways, life force pathways that are attached to all of our organs, to all of the chambers in the body. And as you learn these that lay atop the body within the body, you learn a deeper understanding of yourself and really what you're made of and how to better interact with our world, with our surroundings, with the realms, right? But anyways, to get back into this living in this life, the experience of this crooked eye, I tell you what, today, after all these things that I've been going through in my life, as I've been awakening to just what is already here, what is, our energetic bodies becoming more and more sensitive, lighter, more in tune, if you will. This is serving me because I'm able to see energies when I'm in different states of consciousness as I move my consciousness into different dimensions. But we can get into that at a later time. But what I'm saying is everything serves a purpose somehow. For me, my experiences have shown there's these patterns, these cycles. And right now, I am within the cusp of one of them, being at this 8-year revolution. And you see, 8 years ago, when I was at the tail end of my active addiction, I had a life. I was a part of bringing a life into this world, my son. And I had all this preconceived conditioning in my mind that I wasn't worthy, I wasn't enough, I was incapable. You see, my body doesn't allow those type of thinking today. You know, even speaking about it, we're so powerful when we speak. But I am love. I am enough. I am a pure sovereign being. Right? Yeah. And for those of you that are wondering what I'm doing, I'm I'm actually moving energy throughout my being right now, and helping. This is a healing process for me. Speaking about these things, this is really, really cool. So thanks for participating. But yeah, do what makes you feel good, fam. You know. Some of you might understand what's happening and what I'm doing, and that's okay. For those of you that don't, I'm feeling good. That's all. That's what it's about, right? You know, and we're just clearing the heart space and making more room for that Keegan that was so hurt and broken, that felt the necessary to go through these experiences, right? And it was necessary too, because it cultivated the man that I am today. It was absolutely necessary. I wouldn't change any of it. Wouldn't change any of it. Grazie, grazie. Thank you. But yeah, 10 hours after my son was born, I had a needle in my arm, shooting heroin again. But that's okay, you know? It's okay because this being has experienced that, so my fellow brothers or sisters doesn't have to. You don't have to. Because I did. Right? And I get to learn and experience through you. So thank you for experiencing the parallel of this pain or suffering. Right? Thank you. It's okay. It's okay that we feel these things, right? This is me integrating this aspect of myself a little bit further and expressing, you know, what I felt I couldn't at the time. You see my son sitting in the other room right now? Yeah, because I earned it. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be a father, right? And to show up as I'm free from living in that lifestyle. You see, my family's a priority. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. But anyways, I ran. And I wasn't ready, right? I took that experience with me for quite some time. I took it with me into my next relationship, my next long-term relationship, you know? And now's not the time to really fully get into that yet, because that's still something that is occurring right now as I'm moving through a divorce as well, you know? But that's for a later time, fam. But anyways, going back to this parallel, right? So here we are 8 years later. My son is in the other room, you know, as I get to spend time with him, be a father, be present, you know. Wow. So I'm so grateful for these experiences, because I would never understand what it really means, like the value, the weight and depth of what it means to be a father, to be present one, right? Because I've struggled with that, because that's a label. It's a construct. You know, society wants to deem whatever is this and that. But I know, and I've had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations over the years to understand that I am I am. And nobody has to tell me that I am, because I know I am. And you see, I'm sharing this because I want to give this, I want to put this idea out there for you, for everybody. Excuse me. Thanks for, bearing with me here, fam, and getting all snotty and teary-eyed. This is what healing looks like, honestly. A portion of it, healing is not pretty, really. Haven't you seen how a wound heals? Right? There's a wound. There might be some blood and some nasty stuff involved. But that's okay, because this is how we understand the contrast and the dualistic nature of this realm that we are in here, right? They're both just as beautiful, really. Those experiences that I had when I was using and, living in motels, homeless, doing copious amounts of drugs, doing nasty things with people, hotel to hotel or whatever, all the stuff, and stealing and hurting and lying and cheating. It's just all of this heaviness that I was acquiring. This density, this dense matter. And, I also didn't realize, what was happening, because this is a kind of a magical thing that is happening, fam. Whether you want to believe it or not, this is my belief and this is my knowing. Okay, and for those of you that have used real drugs, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay? They, and whoever they are, it doesn't matter, wherever the drugs are coming from. Let's just say they, all right? Are playing with things that most people have no idea about. Dark things. Heavy things. And I'm talking about being able to put an energy or a concept or a being into something that you then consume, and then you become that thing. And I'm talking about casting demons into the drugs that you take, and then you become a vessel for these entities to reside within you. Yeah, fam. You are consuming demons, and you are becoming this. But hey, maybe this is just coming from somebody that's nuts, that used to use drugs and doesn't know anything about riding with the devil or riding with the demons. You see, they're still very much a part of me. They're a part of all of us. We have dark and light. It's understanding how to integrate these aspects and living through here, right? Living through our heart space, learning how to express, learning how to live here, right? Moving this down to here, and then integrating and listening to the gut. But I don't mean to get all heavy. It's a heavy thing. It's a heavy thing. This is an epidemic that really nobody's talking about. I worked in drug and alcohol treatment for 6 years, in detoxes and mental health facilities, helping run them, and just seeing myself every day in my brothers and sisters, and them not getting help. Just another label. You're this, you're that. Oh no, you have this, and you have that. In Western civilization and Western culture, we have developed this diagnostics manual, right? Where there's a whole list of different labels. They say they're diagnoses, right? Or therapeutic or interpretation of certain person's behavioral, diagnostic, and verbal behaviors, just everything combined, whether they have auditory and visual stimulation going on. We're coming at this the wrong way. Okay? And most of these people have entities inside of them that they don't even know about, that they have entered through them through using drugs, on a regular basis. Most of us don't even know, that that's even a possibility. That can happen through the music that we're listening to, the food we're consuming, the water we're drinking. Demons and everything. I'm talking about a sickness, a low vibratory frequency or entities, parasites, sickness, illness that enters into our body, either through a fear construct or through horrible food that we're ingesting, or poor water that's filled with pharmaceuticals, fluoride, or heavy metals. I mean, and how is it I'm coming to this information? Well, in the last 2 years, fam, as I left Alcoholics Anonymous, I was very, very involved in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm super grateful for AA and everything that AA is and doing for people and any 12-step community, really. And the men in AA helped me build a foundation to understand and to becoming to a greater expression of what a man is, right? What a man should be. And, I hope I'm showing that right now as well through this, expression on this podcast here. Yeah. And we'll come to understand and learn that. I'm still learning. I don't know. I just know for now. And I'm having fun. That's important, that we have fun, fam. But yeah, I guess to get out of the seriousness, but this is a real epidemic that's happening. We're not paying attention to what we're consuming. And drug addiction is a tall tale, that's the extent, I feel, of the extreme consumption. And drug addiction could also include pornography, gambling. You see? Anything that takes us out of the now. And I still struggle with these concepts today, because I have a relationship with plant medicines today, I enjoy the effects of cannabis and how it helps me tap into my energetic bodies and opens me up, and I have a real sensory awareness of feeling into, my chakras and feeling them move, and I work within them and spinning them and all of these other things, that I can do with this in communion with these medicines. But do I need them? No, I don't need them, but I do enjoy this relationship right now that I have with them, you see. And there's plenty of other beautiful medicines that I like to work with as well. And that'll be for other podcasts. I'll talk about some other plant medicines like sananga, hape, combo, which has been calling me, which is a beautiful frog medicine that a friend of mine in this community that I'm really blessed to be a part of, that's growing up around me, serves. You see, beautiful things are happening right now in the world, fam. We have an opportunity to remember that this is not what we are. You see, if we're not seeing past just this, we're not even getting skin deep, fam. Why are we still here? There's more. There's more inside. Like, do you know what your lower dantian is? Your lower energy center, your lower bio battery, where, your life force essentially is, and where you store it, and how we have a certain amount of it, at birth, and how we can cultivate more of that, and it's actually tied to our sexual energy, our hormonal structure, and our life force is directly tied and connected to that? Do we know this? Well, I'd love to start sharing like this kind of stuff too, so that we can collectively raise our awareness in the direction of, you see, we're multidimensional beings that are residing in a carbon-based realm right now. It would appear, right? Because we're simultaneously actually existing in other places right now at once. And I've come to this conclusion because of the experiences that I've had mostly over the last 2 years. And I'd say, when I was speaking about in the last episode, when COVID happened and I essentially went inside, I went inward and I started meditating more. I started having interesting experiences as well because I started practicing martial arts, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, and Qigong. And when I started moving my body in this way, in different ways, then okay, so what I'm getting at is, in India, the yogis, or, wherever there's certain postures they're practiced, they're called asanas, all right? And these postures or positions coincide with certain geometric shapes that coincide with the world, the earth that we're on, okay? The plane. And when you move your body to these geometric shapes, it's the same thing in a way as you drawing out a symbol. You become the symbol. We are that symbol. So then you start receiving the information of that position or that symbol or that resonance. Depending on how in tune you are, or how long, or until you are able to start receiving these informations. And there's things that are keeping us from receiving these informations, all right? Like I said a little bit earlier, it's the water we're drinking, the food we're eating, the company we're keeping, the thoughts we are thinking, and the environment that we're in. You see, because on a daily basis, we're constantly... So let's just say 50 years ago, let's just give it a 50-year gap. Compared to 50 years ago, the vessels that are inhabiting this plane today are experiencing 1 billion more microstimulation transmissions. I know it's kind of like a weird... What I mean by this is our body's receiving microtransmissions wherever we're going, okay? We're picking up and having these micro conversations, right, with nature, with everything around us. Well, now with technology, the way that we use technology today, Wi-Fi, cell phone towers, the satellites, okay? We're being stimulated with way more micro-stimulations, over 1 billion more a day, than the people or beings that were inhabiting this plane 50 years ago. Okay? And excuse me. Most importantly, this is affecting our hormonal structure. And what does that go to? Our life force. That goes to our primordial life force, our Jing. You understand? That is tied to our lower Dantian, our lower bioenergy, biobattery center. Yeah, so our body is not having time to reset. It's not having time to be in homeostasis. It's constantly receiving information. So if you're sleeping with your cell phone near you, if you're sleeping near, your Wi-Fi tower in your room, no, all bad. There's things you can do. There's technology you can use. Like this is this is a huge example, but this is a tensor ring. And tensor rings are copper that's twisted in on itself. You see, copper is piezoelectric, meaning that it carries a current or a consciousness similar to clear quartz crystal. And clear quartz crystal is in pretty much everything. It's in all our computers, cell phones. It carries consciousness. Yeah, fam. You know, program. We're actually we're carbon silicate crystal. So I can get into that in a different time, but we're crystal too. And right now, especially as we're moving into these new earth vibratory frequencies, we're becoming more crystalline. But yeah, we could talk more about that. But anyways, we have to start understanding that the things that are really easy for us might be the most detrimental things for us. And what I mean by that is the ability to order something and have it delivered to you right away, like your food, and then like not even and not being in this process of how is it coming to you and how is it coming into your body. You know, and I guess the way that I started to understand that is when I started growing my own food, and I don't even really eat much of it because there we haven't had too much. But what I mean is just by having my hand in the soil and starting to understand this conversation here too, how our bodies interact with soil. Really, healthy soil or unhealthy. We are soil. We come from mother. And it's so interesting what happens when you put your hands in the soil and you just listen. Same with putting your feet in the grass. Just listen. I don't mean listen. I mean listen. You see, your body is constantly receiving information everywhere, from every aspect. We are all light reverberating at different levels, and we carry the full spectrum inside of us. You know, why is it you're able to close your eyes? I say green. Boom, green is inside of you, inside your mind. Green, right? Interesting. You could do the same thing with any other colors. And if you know a certain color frequency or color code or sequence or perhaps a geometric shape with a certain color code and then a placement in certain energy centers, then you can learn to start activating yourself, your DNA. Then you can learn to start being able to manifest and co-create life in a different way. Then you can learn to start being able to navigate your hormonal structure, and achieve a state of homeostasis through understanding your chakras and that basic energy center, the 7 main chakras. This is just as basic. There's much more than this. But if you start developing an understanding and awareness, and you can understand a different understanding of dimensionality, the longer that you sit inside these energy centers, fam, the more there is to be discovered. This is my experience. You know, but how do we get to sitting? Oof. You got to make room. You got to make room. You got to move the body. You got to move the mind. And you got to let go of certain thought constructs and ideologies that are keeping you from being who you are. You see, we're brought up in a societal construct, right, where you go to school, you learn from a person that's at the front of the classroom that tells you to do something a certain way, and if you're not learning the way that you should be, there's something wrong with you. Crazy. 8 hours a day, right? And what's the normal work day? 8 hours a day. Man, there was a time I was working 3 jobs. 3 jobs. Yeah, I was working overnight at a detox slash mental health facility, and I was working swing shift. So I'd work a swing shift at a detox, an alcohol addiction facility, like 2 to 10:30, and then I would go and work an overnight, 11 to like 8 a.m. or something like that. And then I would go home. And I was in school too. School, crazy. Become a drug and alcohol counselor and all that stuff. Mental health facilitator, and I lived all these things too. I am. But yeah, I just share that with you because I guess a part of me still kind of is like a slight. I just picked that up. There's just like a little resentment there about the school. I think because I still owe them money, and I just feel a certain type of way about school. I mean, I've taught myself way more, probably because I enjoyed it. I wanted to. I'm sure a lot of us could agree. Like going on podcasts and learning from each other. Yeah, it's this feeling when you integrate it inside your being, and then the being solidifies it, and then you're able to express it. That's the growth. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Yeah, that's the whole thing. But getting back into these different yoga postures, so we start receiving this information. So before I got into martial arts, I was heavily involved in bodybuilding. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I love being able to look at the human body and seeing this shape. It's like a sculpture. It was a big part of my life, and like helping me understand my body, how the body moves, developing this relationship, this mind to muscle connection. You see, because I don't need any weights, and I could flex all the different parts of my body, and that helped me develop that relationship. So super cool and super grateful. But with bodybuilding comes ego, right, fam? It's not lie. Actually, with anything human, there comes the ego. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, and I'll talk all about this too, is I used all kinds of different steroids, and and I'm a huge advocate for hormonal replacement therapy, because again, we're talking about understanding the human body, understanding our hormonal structure, how it's tied to our life force, and how a lot of the things that we're interacting with today is attacking the life force, attacking our ability to actually just be. And that's why, if you're going, there's certain aspects that doctors help, right? If you're going and getting blood work done, if you're taking a look at what's happening inside, internally, then you can approach helping nourish that part of your body, that aspect, so that you can be better all around, right? Consciously, spiritually, it's all connected. It's all connected, fam. So as your hormones are balanced, as your hormonal structure is balanced, then your life force will be balanced, and then your ability to run energy up and down the pranic tube, and your life force. What I'm getting at is you will feel better, look better, and operate at a higher level. That's it, pretty much. And your ability to retain information, your ability to essentially be working on something, carrying a conversation, being present, and working on simultaneous projects, that's a possibility. There's a possibility. I live like this. I have like multiple things going on at once in my mind. Like as I'm doing this, I'm here, I'm present, but I also have some other projects that I'm working on in other planes. But that's a whole other conversation for another time. I don't want to get too heady. But going back to understanding that when I was training really heavy when I was younger, I compressed my spine. And I had an accident when I was younger, or not super young, a couple years ago, on my motorcycle. I was riding Harley, being a dickhead, riding really fast down a short street, and wah, 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 and I'm all, "Whoa, yeah, I'm so cool." And then boom, slid my bike out and like twisted my lower back, my lower vertebrae. Went to the hospital. It was a whole thing, I was laid up for a couple months. I didn't break anything, but it was like my lower back was so inflamed. It was so gnarly. I couldn't really put pressure on it. I got really overweight. I started ordering food all the time to my house, and my weight's fluctuated a lot over the years. Excuse me, and that's like actually a big part of like why I used drugs too for a long time. Because I struggled with being overweight and all this other stuff. Excuse me, fam. Sorry. Surrounding body dysmorphia. I mean, that's why I fell into bodybuilding for so long. But it was a way for me to express myself, you see. So like it's a tricky thing, especially with body dysmorphia. And then you start using different compounds and things that are messing with your brain and your mind. And when you don't fully understand the things that you're putting into your body and your intention behind them is to drastically change something about yourself. You see, I'm still an advocate for these certain types of things when they're used as medicine. But that's with anything. Because people will be like, "Oh, you started your drug addiction with cannabis, and you're using cannabis again." Yeah, you're right. But my intention behind it is very different. I'm not trying to escape, and even enhancing is a slippery slope too, and I understand that. But I have a communal understanding, like, are you taking the time to develop a relationship with the water that you're drinking? Are you speaking to your water and praying or spell casting or alchemizing the water that you're drinking every day? Well, I would start there. Because the power that's just in that will completely be able to transform your life. By just starting to talk to your water. Yeah. Just talk to your water. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for nourishing me. Thank you. I mean, before every sip, I'm giving thanks and gratitude to the Most High. Un grazie muhaya, un grasha taktandria, so kanatuna muhaya, un rishia. And for those of you that don't know, that's some light language. And I was saying, oh, thank you, a sacrament to you, my higher. I thank you, my higher, the Most High Rishi. The Most High Rishi, you see, and this could be another conversation for a different time, but we live in a 5-density, 15th dimensional universe, essentially. And the outer dimensions are made up of light and sound. And those are the Rishi dimensions. So, yeah, that's a whole thing. But you know what? For me, it's real. And I'd say my life is pretty electric. I feel great. So that's all that really matters, fam. Is are you happy about what you believe in? Is it bringing nourishment to your life and those around you? And do you have to impose your beliefs? Because that's kind of weird, right? We don't have to impose our beliefs on anybody, but I'm happy to share mine. And I'm open and excited to hear other people's, but expansiveness, in a way, is what we're looking for right now, right? Because we're much grander than we allow ourselves to be. Really. Truly, family. I mean, my hope, my desire, especially with these podcasts, well, one is they help me, so I'm super grateful for that. But I hope that they kind of give you a sense of wonderment, or like an idea that, oh wow, there's something else What is it? I don't know, but there's something else out there. And for you to go explore and find what that is for you, what that something else is for you, you know, because for me, it's about expression. And whether that might be singing and dancing and, vocal toning and playing instruments, speaking and singing light language, it's all cool. It's fun, it's great. It's a grand expression. I want that for, everybody in their own way, whether that's painting or whatever it is, drawing and channeling different. We're all channels, we're all instruments. We all can express this light in our own way. We all have this. We all have this expression. We all have this understanding. You know. But for me, yeah, I was activated 2 years ago, and I started speaking this language, and it is me, and I am it. I mean, but it comes from many different places, many dimensions, many different beings speak it, and there's different dialects of it. But all-encompassing way to understand it is light language, the language of the light. Yeah. But when I met my Sifu a little over 2 years ago at my temple, he helped me bring an awareness to my lower spine. And I just cracked my back right now. You've probably seen me do it a bunch. And this episode, honestly, I don't even notice when I'm doing it. And I actually move around a lot, and I do all that, and I do all this weird. I'm calibrating myself kind of constantly because I've been bringing myself back into this state. Into this state so that I can be the most effective vessel, the most effective expression, really. So as I've been bringing my body back into alignment, I've been coming back online spiritually with energies, our spiritual energies as well, the ability to receive information from other places, other dimensions, ability to transport consciousness into these other places, the ability to unlock essentially other lives, other experiences and gifts that I've lived in other lives, and to help other people do this too. We all just hold different keys for each other, family. Yeah. And, even potentially for those of you that are watching this or listening to this, you hearing me could help you help awaken parts of you as well. That's also why I'm doing this podcast. I've been told that strangely enough, that just seeing or hearing me will help people remember who they are. You see, family, we're more than the body. We are more than these vessels. We are eternal beings, angelic, multidimensional, multifaceted beings. Yeah, and I hope to help you remember that. And if you don't want to, that's cool. That's all right. But my hope in helping you remember that is that so that you understand how powerful you are, right? And how divine you are. And that you are a god. You are a goddess. You are literally the fragment of the Most High. You are it. We are it. We are. Just because it's a fragment does not mean or has less validity. You see, being in this dimension, it's up to us how much of that energy we harness and express out. So if you keep playing small, you never really understand truly how beautiful you are, how grand you are. You see, the more grand that we are, all of us, the more beautiful the earth will be. I promise you. When we're coming through here, fam, through the heart space, where the eternal flame reside. Yeah. But anyways, so when my Sifu started helping me understand and like bringing a new awareness to my spine and move my spine a different way and wake it up, become more pliable. The energy started running up and down my spine in a different way, and I'm still on that path of really fully awakening it, you know. But when I started moving my body in certain postures and geometric shapes because of the martial arts, I started receiving these informations, and I started awakening things on a cellular level in my body, and I started experiencing things, profound things, coupled with breathing in a conscious way, coupled with actually learning to breathe through your nose and into your belly. You see, most of us are not breathing properly. You know, short, shallow breaths up here for most of us. We need to be long, slow, deep breaths, deep, 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 deep into the belly. This is how we regulate. This is how you give yourself time, right? Space to discern, understand the information that's coming through, what's yours and what isn't. Yeah. So, I think that's good for today. You know, I'm going to dive more into later episodes about like this journey, what I started experiencing when I started moving my body differently, started breathing consciously, the books and certain beings that started showing up, and how I was guided to start reading. And I would read something, find some information, and then it would just ignite something in me. And I'd be like, I know this. I already remember this. And I would go and put it into application, and then I would start having these profound experiences, you know. And it's been an crazy and incredible journey over these last few years, especially as I've come into like realizing, you know, just who I am, I guess. And it's still going, it's still happening. But I'm finally in a place where I can kind of make sense of it, you know, because there was a period there, fam, you know, as I'm coming into higher dimensional energies where, and I started channeling. Started channeling different languages, animal spirits, different beings and entities. And it was tripping a lot of people out. It's tripping me out for a little bit, you know. But yeah, I think it freaked a lot of people out. And a lot of people were worried that I was using again. A lot of people were worried that I was diving in and delving into some bad stuff, which is totally possible, fam. That's why I'm coming out and sharing this information. Because especially right now in this time that we're in, discernment is key. What does that mean? That means it's really important that we learn to bring this consciousness that's residing up in our upper energy centers in the mind and drop it down into our heart space. Okay? And reactivate these brain cells in our heart space. Reactivate this way of living and thinking. And then we can move forward. You see, on my path of all this, I've come into so much information, and like so many things have been conflicting, and there's a lot of misinformation out there too, fam. It's all part of the guise. It's all part of the realm that we live in anyways, and the era we're in. You know, the age of Kali, and this is the age of destruction, and you know, fake mysticism, and we're in the end of it, pretty much. We're coming to the end, and we're moving into a new age, a new era. But with that comes new forms of trickery and new forms of deception. Yeah, seriously. So discernment is key, and how we discern is moving and living through our heart space. Because trying to make sense of things, it's not really all going to make sense. Not right now. But I tell you that the more that we understand how to live through our heart and drop into the heart, the more the clearer picture that we will have. And also, this is where we can begin the journey of unity consciousness, living in a unified mind. This is what higher dimensional planes are, our unified consciousness streams, you know, and it's just a bigger version of yourself. It could get a little heady, but yeah, fam. It's really important that we learn to live through this heart space, and in order to get there, we got to clear out some pain and some drama and some wreckage, and there's some things that we could do in order to do that. You know, learning how to speak to ourselves, learning that, like, how to start breathing differently, learning that what we're thinking is resonating out and coming right back at us and reverberating and causing a form of density and manifestation here in our realm. You know, that's what the whole point of this podcast is about, is just a conversation, right? Is making light in a way of the things that are actually happening around us, but also understanding that everything is just having its own conversation, its own reverberation, its own rate at which it communes, at which it speaks, the earth included. She has her own language too. All the planets, everything has its own language, fam. And that's part of magic and alchemy, is tying together the things that go together when you're trying to bring about a certain result, coupled with your intention. Yeah. But we're at almost an hour, and I think that that's a great stop for today. I'm gonna go, you know, handle some work and spend time with my son. And blessings, fam. Thank you for those of you that, you know, took the time to sit here with me and be a part of this healing. This has been healing for me. I've been able to open up and express myself and get a little bit more comfortable. So thank you. And we'll see where this goes. And, you know, let me know what you guys want me to talk about. I've thrown a lot of concepts out there. And I'm also super, super open to bringing people on and hanging out and just having a conversation. All right, fam. Love and blessings.